cars then making their way to the grid very shortly for the start of our final race of the weekend here at Oulton Park. Josh, I was just thinking about boost and the fact that with the extra 60 brake horsepower that you get, obviously you use that at certain parts of the course, it's going to send you into corners at a few miles an hour quicker than you used to, but we've got less grip than we've had all weekend long, so you have to be a bit careful with that boost, how they apply it and where they use it, and under braking then, perhaps braking a bit earlier because they've got more speed than they normally have.
That's right, you don't want to induce too much wheel spin as well when you're putting that boost on any more than it would do otherwise. This is going to be an intriguing way to end the day. Different parts of the lap and under different levels of wetness. The tyres you want to look after as well, won't you, over the course of these 15 laps, because on those drier parts of the circuit, Druid, with one of the fastest corners, is the part of the track which is going to dry out the quickest, and if you start to wear your wet tyres out, then when you get down to the island hairpin, which is very, very wet indeed, where you want as many grooves as possible, you don't want to wear them out on the drier parts of the lap. So intriguing racing prospect. There are so many possible winners, I think, here in round 15 of the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship.
So Gordon Shedden in the Toyota, Senna Proctor in the Hyundai, and then the Honda of Josh Cook and the Ford of Dan Robos on the first four on the grid. We're about to go racing for the final time this weekend. It's round 15 of the 2025 Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship. The red lights go straight out, and it looks like a stuttery start off the line from the outside of row one for Senna Proctor. He's going to get done here by a couple of cars. Josh Cook straight into second place, Dan Rowbottom, and then down the inside of all of them goes the BMW of Jake Hill. He's gained 2 places there on the way into the corner. So Shedden leads the race. Cook is in second place, and then we've got Hill straight up to third in the BMW. Fourth place behind them is Rowbottom as well. Senna Proctor not with a good start off the line. He's also lost a place to Ingram, so from the front row of the grid that pops him down to sixth position as they go down towards Island Bend for the first time in the race, over the bumps, over the rollers. Shedden is the first to arrive. This is the first time at speed. Get through the corner, tippy-toe through it. They're on the wet tyres, but it's still very slippery. Out wide there goes Adam Morgan, but he survives. Might lose a place on the exit to the corner though. He's got I think Tom Chilton in and around him as well. Huge spray as well coming off the back of the cars, which means there's only really Gordon Shedden that can see where he's going as Josh Cook goes straight on down the escape road into the braking zone at the end of the hilltop run, and he'll rejoin behind Jake Hill, just aside him, but he lets him go. So down to third place for Josh Cook, and a rocket ship start for Jake Hill, who's up to second, and there's also now a nice big gap back from first to second. Shedden has had the perfect start to the race here in search of his 53rd win of the championship. Chris Smiley though is out of contention. The car has stopped on the track onto the escape road as the race leader comes into Lodge Corner, and that race leader is your pole sitter Gordon Shedden, 52-time race winner, the sixth most experienced driver in the entire history of the championship, and the Scottish driver leads the way at the end of lap one. Jake Hill in second, Josh Cook in third, coming back at him, and then Dan Rowbottom in fourth, trying to go around the outside of Jake Hill here into Old Hall Corner. This is brave, but he's so brave, Josh Cook, and the driver from Bath goes onto the very wet, very slippery curbs. Balls of spray. He's still side by side. He's still sticking it in here. He's got the inside line into Cascades, but Jake Hill keeps it going around the outside of the BMW stage, just ahead in the battle for second. Rowbottom, though, he's right with them now. Yeah, there was a lot of contact between Jake Hill and Dan Rowbottom off the line. Meanwhile, into the pit lane is Adam Morgan, and we saw run wide at the hairpin. Yeah, into the other hairpin. Second, third and fourth. Constantine ring up together. Hill accelerates away. That's got good traction, that BMW. Up the hill they go, and Dan Rowbottom now drawing alongside Josh Cook as they go over the brow. He's on the outside line here, so this will require something super brave. Josh Cook is not the sort of driver you can outbrake very easily, and he tucks back in behind him. Yeah, so really close racing, all behind Gordon Shedden, who's 1.5 seconds up the road from the field. Jake Hill, Josh Cook, and then Dan Rowbottom, Tom Ingram up to fifth. It was a poor start from Senna Proctor, who dropped to sixth. Josh Cook now under pressure from Dan Rowbottom as they go into that drier part of the circuit, where Senna Proctor in behind has got Tom Ingram in sixth position. His rival Ash Sutton in eighth. The best start of all, after not making a very good start earlier in the day, James Dorlin up to ninth from 13th on the grid. Josh Cook outbreaks himself and he's straight into the gravel. He just missed the back of Jake Hill's car, but he's going to be buried in the gravel, I think. Josh Cook, the second time
time he's been off during the course of this race.
Yes, at Lodge Corner. He might just get it out. We left him on the cameras when he was trying to rejoin. Tom Ingram and Ash Sutton are side by side. Meanwhile, on the way into Old Hall Corner, and Sutton looks like he's got the job done from our point of position. We get a replay of Josh Cook's outbreaking of himself here, looking at the inside and then just straight on. You're right, he almost clipped the back of the BMW of Jake Hill. Rowbottom avoided him, so Robo up to third place now, Proctor up to fourth, Camish up to fifth, and then Sutton versus Ingram. Sutton getting through at Old Hall Corner to move himself ahead of his championship rival. The best start of the race has actually come from Charles Rainford, gained 8 places. He's already up in the 99 car into the points from dead last on the grid. The BMW, the Brands Hatch race winner, up into 14th position.
Meanwhile, a car running very, very wide at the hairpin and at the corner previously was Max Hall, who he and Aidan Moffat had a moment. Now Dan Rowbottom, who's out trying to go around the outside of Jake Hill, just run a little bit too wide into the Hislop chicane, so therefore Jake Hill hangs on in second place. Going back to the previous lap at Lodge Corner, firstly, Dan Camish managed to get alongside Tom Ingram coming out of the corner, and then that's what allowed Ash Sutton to challenge at the following bend. So the two Napa Racing teammates got past Tom Ingram in 2 corners, and for Josh Cook, it's out of the gravel, obviously a long, long way down the order. But Gordon Shedden, 1.5 seconds still ahead of this bank battle for second place between Jake Hill and Dan Rowbottom. Then for 4th position, Senna Proctor has got the attentions of Dan Camish, who's trying to squeeze the Ford Focus up alongside the Team Virtue car. Can't quite do that into Lodge Corner. What about on the run up towards Old Hall? Well, Senna Proctor tries to defend, but Dan Camish dives down the inside, really late on the brakes. He passed Tom Ingram a couple of laps ago. This time, though, he can't quite get past Senna Proctor, gets all sideways. Ash Sutton's off the circuit in avoidance. What's going to happen when they get to the avenue? Well, they're making contact. The two Napa Racing teammates, but Ash Sutton goes through ahead of Dan Camish.
Broken rear toe link on Adam Morgan's car. They've changed it really quickly. Well done, team, and he's on his way.
And Ash Sutton is now on the march because he's drawing alongside and getting ahead of Senna Proctor as well on the run down Lakeside. So from 9th on the grid up to 4th place now for the 4-time champion and championship leader. Dan Camish trying to find a way past the green and yellow number 18 car of Proctor as well, but he can't do that. So we get a replay now. And yeah, big contact, wasn't it, on the way through Old Hall Corner. Proper tank slapper there for Robo. And then Sutton pounced on the way out of the corner through Denton's, got the inside line. And then wide on the exit for Proctor coming out of Cascades. Better traction, better grip, and a better line, really, for Ash Sutton. He just drove past him through Lakeside before they got to the braking zone for the hairpin. So Shedden leads. That looks like Josh Cook is ailing. He's trying to stay out of the way and perhaps heading back to the pits.
Behind, Mikey Doble's got past Tom Ingram. Alan was talking to Tom Ingram earlier, and Tom said, we think the car's pretty good in these wet conditions. Now it's these damper conditions, and was there a bit of contact as well, because yes, Tom Ingram was sent across the grass, but Daryl De Leon was involved in all of that as well, so we'll see what order they do come in across the line. Meanwhile, Jake Hill was catching the race leader Gordon Shedden. The gap's under a second for the first time, and then it is Mikey Doble, isn't it, up into 7th position. Then it's Chilton in 8th, and for Tom Ingram it's down to 9th, and under pressure from James Dorling and Dan Lloyd, who's coming through from the back of the grid. Yeah,
it was contact between the Astro of Doble and the driver second in the championship, Tom Ingram, down at the Hislop chicane. That was what put him onto the grass and sent him down the order. Fastest lap of the race has gone to Jake Hill. Daryl De Leon has come into the pits, and he is dropping out of the running for the time being.
With
but
right
they're trying
front
to get
damage.
The car sorted.
Right front damage.
Right front damage.
He was involved in that incident, wasn't he? He was around Doble and Ingram, and they're putting slick racing tyres on, aren't they? Slick Goodyear tyres going on to the BMW.
Might as well try something different because he's got nothing to lose now. Absolutely nothing to lose. We've had
Is that Dan Lloyd that's gone?
Yeah, possibly. Just got a very brief glimpse of that.
Riley's already out, isn't he? So it could well be Dan Lloyd that went off. We'll see in a moment, Alan.
Hello, Daryl De Leon, going on to hard, dry tyres.
Oh, yeah, he's got the hard as well, hasn't he? I forgot about that. So double jeopardy, but give it a go. Why not? So Shedden leads by 0.9 of a second. We've got their fastest lap of the race now to Jake Hill last time around. Got Stephen Jelly, one of 2 cars that's gone off down the escape road at the Knickerbrook chicane. He gets going again and loses place to the BMW of Aidan Moffat. So through they all come. We've got then Gordon Shedden having to get his head down now because Jake Hill is coming after him. He was half a second quicker on the previous lap. Dan Rowbottom also set a personal best lap of the race, and sure enough the gap from 1st to 3rd has come down. No change yet, but the gap's coming down. 4th, and hoping they get stuck into each other and holding each other up, is Ash Sutton, because he'll catch them up pretty quickly if that's the case. He goes through and he sets the fastest lap of the race now as well. Bonus point coming the way of Ash Sutton in 4th place with a 1:33.334. Daryl de Leon is about to leave on the hard tyre, but he's a lap down. So he's going to need a miracle, really.
Tape applied to the right front of that car, and also brand new hard tyres applied. Just be interesting to see what sort of lap times he'll be doing.
Exactly right. So we've got the top 3 almost together now, because the BMW of Jake Hill down at the Island Bend hairpin took about a length out of the race leader, Gordon Shedden. He was 0.7 of a second behind at the start of the lap. That gap is nowhere near that now. And catching the pair of them, I reckon, is Dan Rowbottom in 3rd place. And as I say, if these 3 get into a fight, the driver in 4th, Ash Sutton, who set the fastest lap of the race last time around, is going to be one to watch. We've got James Dorlin holding on to position, or trying to hold on position here with Tom Ingram alongside it. Ingram goes straight on, under braking down the escape road. So he goes through there, past the stricken car of Chris Smiley, and rejoins, I think, ahead of James Dorlin. He'll say he had nowhere to go, no option other than go straight on.
It was actually Dorlin challenging, because Ingram was ahead before. So Tom Ingram's got no pace whatsoever in this race. He's 2 seconds of that slower than the pace we're seeing from Ash Sutton. Not sure why, because some of his teammates are doing okay. Tom Chilton got past him a couple of laps ago. And is there a problem for Tom Ingram, or is he just allowing James Dorlin back through after cutting the corner? I think that might be the case. And now for the lead of the race, Jake Hill challenging Gordon Shedden as they come up across the line with Dan Rowbottom. A really good view of all of that. In 4th position, Ash Sutton was a little bit closer. Meanwhile, what's happening behind, Chris?
We've got Charles Rainford on a march here, on a mission, 12th place, and he's caught up to the next group of cars as well, including Sam Osborne, as he closes up under braking on the way into Old Hall Corner. So the white 99 BMW one to watch. Also one to watch one of his teammates in the blue number 1 car, the BMW of Jake Hill, who is all over the race leader now, Gordon Shedden, who's trying to get his first win since his comeback. He's already won 6 races at this circuit. We've got Max Hall, I'm afraid, in the gravel trap at Lodge Corner, though. So yellow flags down there at the moment, and he's in a precarious position. The marshals are trying to push him clear. We've heard Tom Ingram say before, the car doesn't like greasy conditions. All right in the wet, all right in the dry. They don't like these conditions. The safety car is coming out. I think this is because of Max Hall's car in a precarious position. Just as the top 3 get absolutely together, Shedden, Hill and Rowbottom together. Guess what, though? Safety car is going to bring everybody, including a Mr. A. Sutton, right onto their tail.
The team for Josh Cook have worked on the car. They've sent him back out as well. I think there was some kind of gear problem. The car went into limp mode as well when it was coming back to pit lane. So when you described keeping out the way, the car was very slow because it was in limp mode. So they've worked on the car and they've sent him back out.
What's really odd to me, Chris, about Tom Ingram is his lap time is 1.5 seconds slower than Senna Proctor in the same type of car. So they might have different setups on. Of course, that would make quite a large difference. But very strange that Ingram would be so much off the pace, where generally he is the fastest driver in that team.
Anything, he could have picked up a bit of damage when he got sent onto the grass, couldn't he, down at the chicane at Hislops.
Even before that, he didn't have the pace, did he? Because he was ahead of the Camish and Sutton battle at one stage. Well, there was a bit of a touch in that as well, so that's another point where damage could have been picked up.
Do you think anyone's going to come in for dry tyres? We've got a couple of teams that are kind of poised and standing by.
Well, because they're behind the safety car, you're not going to lose a lap to them now. It's not like a 3-second pit stop in Formula 1, but they can get out and stay on the lead lap, and if there's enough laps behind the safety car after they're changed, they can get onto the back of the pack as well. So, yeah, for somebody out of the points down the order that's on the lead lap, like a Nick Hamilton, like a Finn Leslie, why not throw caution to the wind and give it a go? Because the sun is almost breaking through now, and that track is going to get drier. But is it going to get dry? Because there's still a big old puddle down at the Island Bend hairpin. Shedden leads, Hill second, Rowbottom third, Sutton fourth, Proctor is fifth, Camish sixth, Doble seventh, Chilton eighth, Dorlin ninth, Osborne is 10th, Rainford 11th from the back of the grid. Ingram, he's going to be one to watch, isn't he, on the restart? 12th is Ingram, 13th Moffat, 14th Jelly. Hurrah, Stevens in the points after a torrid weekend. 15th Leslie, he could get a point on his debut, the 17-year-old. Hamilton is 16th, just out of the points. Patterson 17th, Lloyd 18th. And then De Leon on the hard tyre is 19th, but he is a lap down.
Problems persist for Josh Cook. He headed out of the pit lane as described by Alan Hyde, but the car gone back into that limp home mode that he had previously. So for Josh Cook, and I just wonder if that's what sent Josh Cook off a couple of times, whatever the problem was. if it was a gearbox issue, perhaps the car wasn't going down the gears as it should have been, because he was going way too fast into the corner, wasn't he, when he almost collected the back of Jake Hill, and he'd already been off once before that. So if it is gearbox related, I just wonder if that's what's caused the problem for
Sunshine's come out, you know. Sunshine's come out.
I know. Well, it's like April, this, not summertime. It's just weird weather, isn't it?
It is very peculiar weather this weekend. I'm still asking the question, is anyone going to come in?
Find out in a second. Not yet. It's going to be somebody at the back if they're going to do it. Surely somebody's tempted. No, I don't think so. They're all coming past you, past the pit lane entry.
Yep, no, everyone's been through.
You were going to do it, you'd have done it then, wouldn't you?
You would, yep.
Because you don't know how long the safety car is going to be out for. So we can extend the race distance by up to 3 laps. It could become an 18-lap race.
On the big screens now, you can see this. This is from the green flag lap, isn't it? I thought we were going to see the start of the race. So I'm not sure what we're being shown here. But what I was going to say off the start is Dan Rowbottom and Jake Hill got very, very close to the pit wall. So if we do get treated to the replays at the start of the race, have a look at how close those two cars came to blows. I suspect the safety car might be in this lap because Max Hall's car out of the gravel at Lodge Corner.
Just thinking back to your question about Tom Ingram and why is he not on the pace. There's a wet track, but they haven't had much time to think about setting. They will not have time to set these cars up for wet conditions. The suspensions, there's all things that you can do, soften the suspension to get the cars set up for the wet. It's not just a case of you put wet tyres on.
But one thing they do need to do is the height of the car, because so often we've seen if they've gone from a dry setting to a dry tyre to a wet tyre and not changed the settings, that's when they fall foul of the old roller, the dreaded roller under the front of the car.
The wet tyre means the car's a bit lower to the ground, so they have to be absolutely careful of that for sure. But the safety car lights go out. They won't necessarily have had time to think about a setup, so you might have gone, well, it's raining, but I'm going to keep a drier, stiffer setup because it might dry out. So if that's the case, Tom, as it dries out, might get quicker than the others. We'll see.
This restart's going to be interesting, Chris, because obviously from that lower speed and into the acceleration zone, rear-wheel drive BMW could be very strong.
Let's see then. We're about to get back up to speed. Gordon Shedham, he had them on his case anyway, but only 2 of them now. He's got everybody, including Ash Sutton, on his case. And here we go. Rowbottom, he's going to go for it on the way into Old Hall Corner to try and get the Ford up the inside of the BMW. He's halfway alongside, but the BMW keeps the rotation around the outside, goes onto the curbs, holds the position. It's difficult to get past that BMW at the best of times. But now Ash Sutton gets in the mix. He's nipped in between the pair of them. He's split the fight up and he's gone up to 3rd place. So Sutton up to 3rd on that run down through Dentons and Cascades. Now he's flashing the headlights because he wants to get past Jake Hill and he wants to go after a race win here on a drying but still damp and still slippery circuit. So Shedden leads into the hairpin. Hill is 2nd. Sutton is 3rd. Rowbottom, who's trying to be 2nd, has wound up down in 4th place. Followed then by Proctor and Camish in 5th and 6th positions as they come over the crest now. And the BMW is still hanging on to that 2nd place and keeping an eye on the background as well. Camish was having a look up the inside of Proctor. There's contact further back. Mikey Doble has had contact from behind. He's sideways down the track and the contact came from Chilton, I think, whose bonnet is now completely up and in his way. He rejoins through the escape road, but Tom Chilton's bonnet is up, which means he's completely blind. He cannot see where he's going and he's going to have to go back to the pits. And Mikey Doble is right in front of one of the ITV camera operators with his Astra's nose buried into the tyre barrier.
That's right, and through the middle sector, Jake Hill's got right on terms with Gordon Shedden, so down towards Lodge Corner they come. But I think there was a small touch between Hill and Rowbottom out of Old Hall, and that's what gave Ash Sutton the run that we saw. But Jake Hill's got a very, very good exit to Lodge Corner. Is he close enough to Gordon Shedden heading up towards Old Hall Corner? I don't think so, but he got a very, very good exit to the final corner. And the sun shining Lodge Corner now, very much a dry line at the final corner of the lap. As through goes Charles Rainford. He's up to 8th position now, Chris. He's just got past Tom Ingram.
Great drive, this, isn't it, from Charles Rainford. Ingram's time was comparable to those just ahead of him on that lap, so we'll see if he gets more into it as the track gets drier. It might be to do with setup and having a slightly setup that's better for the dry conditions or drying conditions on the wet tyres as Jake Hill gets almost alongside Gordon Shedden going into the hairpin. Stays out wide, he likes the wide line. Tom Chilton comes in, he's done a great job to get back here because he cannot see a thing, can't see where he's going at all. That bonnet popped up, probably getting back in the race. Yellow flags though and a safety car now coming out, and this I think is because of the stricken Astra of Mikey Doble, isn't it, on the exit to this section at Knickerbrook. So Gordon Shedden says, oh okay, another few laps behind the safety car, less time to defend, that's all right with me.
And to put slicks versus wets into perspective, Darryl de Leon did a 1 minute 42 on that lap. Race leaders 1 minute 34.
Right, so it's still not going to work, and he's got to get a lap back. So
I more mean for other people looking at that.
if they're
going
to try, it's still not there, is it?
Not quite, but that's a rear-wheel drive car on hard tyres. Others have the opportunity to go onto soft tyres. Lots of damage to the front of Tom Chilton's car down in the pit lane after that contact with Mikey Doble.
He's out the car and retired. Yeah.
Right, we're going to get a replay from a rear camera there. Yeah, just into the back of Doble. The bonnet popped straight up, but he's got a lot of front end damage. How he slalomed through that course offline without being able to see where he was going properly. Very impressive.
I don't think he was going for a move, was he? Just couldn't get the car slowed down. There was lots of cars around, and he just bumped into the back of Mikey Doble's car. And one for the pit lane down towards Alan Hyde.
That is going to be
Dexter Patterson. It is.
Yeah, Dexter Patterson.
Yeah.
So presumably this is for slicks.
Yes, one would presume, and they go to work with the tyre guns now,
and they're softs as well.
And you've seen that dry line, haven't you, on the television pictures? The sunshine is out, the wind is blowing. It's it's drying the track very nicely. Thank you.
Yeah, not everywhere, but it's getting better. But he might as well gamble. He's not in the points anyway. If it all goes wrong, he's not going to be in the points. But there's the chance that towards the end of the race could be good news. Could be good news for him.
Well, he certainly lit up the tyres leaving the pit lane, that's for sure.
There was a lot of tyre movement, wasn't there, Alan? But the car wasn't going very far.
Yes, he was giving it full beans.
Right, so he's got to hope that the safety car doesn't come in on this lap, because he needs to catch the pack up to have any chance of doing anything in this race. Safety car lights are still on as they make their way up through Knickerbrook. Josh Cook is still in the pit lane, by the way, with the bonnet up. It's a case of what might have been this season for Josh. It's not quite happening for him this year, is it? Despite all of the potential.
Although the first race at Thruxton was quite something when he came flying through the order. So Mikey Doble's recovery is continuing, so that's good news for Dexter Patterson. He can continue to catch up to the safety car train. We can add one further lap on, because we had 2 laps in the previous safety car period to get us up to 17. We can go up to 18 laps. We're currently on lap 12, so in reality we have 6 left with another additional lap expected. So I wonder if anybody else is going to elect to come in this time, because there is still that time available, and everyone is trying to find the wet patches to cool their Goodyear wet tyres down, because the tyres are overheating. There's dry lines developing all the way around this Oulton Park circuit.
Just looking, since he got that win at Snetterton, that's 3 retirements now in the last 2 meetings for Mikey Doble. It has not gone his way, has it, in the last couple of rounds?
Yeah, we had mechanical issues at Thruxton. The team worked so hard they managed to change the engine between races, and in the final race he come flying through the order only to get a track limit penalty and to be demoted positions again. So as you say, all very disappointing since Snetterton. Meanwhile, looking at a predicted point score, and if it stays as it is, Ash Sutton's lead will grow to 16 points.
Which means he'll have doubled his points advantage since the start of the weekend. Not bad.
And in the final sector, Dexter Patterson has just set the fastest third sector of the race. So slick tyres are pretty good, I would suggest, from that.
Not supposed to set fastest sector times when the safety car's out, are you? But he's trying to catch them up.
Shh.
So how many cars can he pass, Dexter Patterson? He's in 16th because there's been quite a lot of attrition, so he hasn't got as many cars to pass as there would be otherwise.
There is one issue, though. As I've said, you've got to go off the racing line to overtake cars, and off the racing line, he's not dry. So it's not going to be easy, but he might as well. He might as well give it a go. And the more it goes on, the better the chance he's got. But only 5 laps to go. It'll be an 18-lap race now. We've done 12, almost done 13. So, yeah, we'll be 5 laps to go at the end of this one. The safety car lights, though, are off. They're extinguished coming out of Druid. So Scott Stringfellow powers away from them and backing everybody up on the way into what's now a largely dry run into Lodge Corner is the race leader Gordon Cheddar. Jake Hill behind, looking for his 2nd win of the season, and then Ash Sutton looking for his 2nd win of the day in 3rd place. Rowbottom in 4th, Proctor 5th, Camish 6th, Dahl in 7th, and away we go again. And defensive line on the way into Old Hall Corner for Jake Hill, trying to fend off the 2 Ford Focuses, which he's done. Sutton remains behind him in 3rd, Rowbottom in 4th, going going on the attack as well. Bit of a gap back to Senna Proctor, who had his mirrors full of Camish and Dorlin on the way into Old Hall Corner, but I think fended both of them off. So they go down through Denton, through Cascades now. Dexter Patterson, the one we've got to keep an eye on, but he hasn't quite been able to catch up to the pack, has he? Could have done with one more lap behind the safety car, but unfortunately off the road has gone Nick Hamilton now. So the top 4 all bunched together, make their way into Island Benefit. Top 10 are all bunched together. Everybody's concertinaed up on the way into the hairpin. Shedden, though, gets a good run out of that corner, and Charles Rainford is about to pounce on James Dorlin here. So that will be 7th place now, if he can do it, around the outside from the very back of the grid in the white 99 BMW. Has he done it? Still side by side as they come into the corner. Now he's got the inside line through the left-hander. James Dorlin is still trying to hang on. Tom Ingram is involved in that battle as well. Still side by side. Neither wants to give up, and Tom Ingram is maybe going to pounce and get past the pair of them as he gets on the gas. He's got past Dorlin. He's about to fire his way past Rainford here. Brilliant driving from Tom Ingram. He watched all of that go on just ahead of him. He outthought both of them, outdragged both of them, and he's got past the pair of them in the number 80 Hyundai. Fantastic stuff. He's up to 7th.
Yeah, he may not have the ultimate pace in these conditions, but he certainly has the racecraft as Tom Ingram. Meanwhile, Jake Hill has a big challenge around the outside to try and get past Gordon Shedden. He'll have the exit speed, but there are yellow flags when they get to Old Hall Corner, so he won't be able to pass at Old Hall. He can't pass before they get to that point either. So Gordon Shedden continues to lead the race, but he's got pressure from 2 cars behind, 2 drivers who have won the championship, as has Gordon Shedden. So 3 previous champions in our top 3 as they pass the stricken car of Nick Hamilton out of Old Hall Corner down towards Cascade. Jake Hill has a little look to the inside. He's right underneath the rear wing, right on the bumper of the race leader. And there are more yellow flags because there's another car that's gone off, and you wouldn't believe it, it's Stephen Jelly.
Oh, what a weekend he has had. I wish he never turned up. It's been awful luck for him. Now, Tom Ingram trying to go around the outside of Dan Camish here. Careful, because there's a big puddle there. He's halfway alongside. He has to back off out of it on the way out of the corner, but now he gets grunt again. So this drying line, he's suiting whatever setup they put on Tom Ingram's car. He did his best lap of the race last time around as well, as the top 4 make their way into the Hislop chicane with the Scottish driver Gordon Shedden ahead of Jake Hill, but straight on in the background goes Sam Osborne. Careful, because Chris Smiley's car is parked up there from the start of the race. He'll rejoin and get back on just in front of James Dorlin, so he's actually gained a place there, so he might have to give it up potentially. But here we go into Druid's Corner. Shedden under huge pressure here from Hill. He's been having a really good day actually today. He's picked up a very good set of points. Can he get a podium? Yes, at the moment. Can he get a win? Maybe, but he's got to attack and defend at the same time, with Sutton in his mirrors, Rowbottom in 4th, Proctor in 5th, Camish and Ingram 6th and 7th, also really involved in this lead group. 3 laps to go as they go across the start-finish line. Yellow
flags have been withdrawn, so Old Hall is an overtaking opportunity, but you were spot on about Tom Ingram. He's massively quicker than the others in these drier conditions, so the setup wasn't good at the beginning. Perhaps he was just looking after the wet tyres as well, so they're in better conditions now, and he can go past Dan Camish on the way down the avenue, so up to 6th position from Tom Ingram. What a topsy-turvy race this has been, but he has strong pace now. Dexter Patterson, fastest lap of the race, is 2 seconds quicker than the race leaders, but very disappointed he didn't catch the back of the train before the safety car came in, because otherwise it would have been a very different story. As Jake Hill goes round the outside, the race leader gets a bit sideways as he goes through the puddle, then he gets a tap in the tail from Ash Sutton, drifts it all the way out of the corner, does Jake Hill, and stays ahead of Ash Sutton as they head off towards Hislops.
Patterson's in the point zone 14th, so he hasn't lost anything, has he, by trying this, and he might gain more in this last 2.5 laps of the race. Great defensive driving this from Shedden, using all of his experience, looking for his 7th British Touring Car Championship win at this circuit at Oulton Park, the place where he got his first ever win almost 20 years ago now, back in 2006. So Shedden leading the way. Can he get a victory? Of course, for the team, this is their home circuit. In recent years, Speedworks haven't had much luck at this circuit, and they've had a bit of an up and down weekend here, but they are going well with Gordon Shedden and looking for a win. Christian Dick and the team will be delighted if they can get this. We're keeping an eye on Dexter Patterson as well. Fastest lap of the race so far, and he's on for improving that on this lap with 2 absolute best sector times. But time is running out because we're about to cross the line with our race leaders coming through. 2 laps to go. Shedden from Hill, Sutton there in 3rd, Rowbottom in 4th, Ingram in 5th coming after them because he's got ahead of Proctor as well now. So 2 places gained on that lap for the driver 2nd in the championship.
Shedden Sheddon went a little bit wide out of Oulton. Is that going to give Jake Hill a chance? His car's really sliding around on those wet weather tyres now. And now he's going off the circuit. Jake Hill's off the circuit. The wet tyres just, I think, gave not as much grip as he was hoping for. He was sideways through the previous corner. He was sideways down the avenue and just using the wet tyres too much in the early laps. That's the opposite of Tom Ingram, who's got more grip left. He's up into 4th position now, is Ingram. He knew in the early stages not to use the tyres too much. Perhaps a better setup as well for the drier conditions, Chris, and he has more grip, that's for sure, than everybody else.
Yeah, Jake Hill right to the back of that lead group, down to 7th place now in the BMW, but he's trying to come back already at Dan Camish, which he won't be able to do on the way into the Hislop chicane. So a job to do here for Dan Rowbottom to try and keep at bay Tom Ingram to help out his teammate and championship leader Ash Sutton, because he's the one in between the pair of them at the moment, trying to split up the fight that potentially is coming in the last lap and a half of this race. So we'll keep an eye on that. That might be good news potentially for Sheddon. If they all get into a fight with each other, he might be able to just get away and get the race win here. But he's not really getting away at this stage. A replay of Jake Hill just overcooking it, just back end stepping out. And as soon as you're on the grass, you're in trouble. No grip, head in hands down there. His dad, Simon Hill, just throwing his arms down in frustration in the garage as you watch that on the screens. Right over the line, Gordon Sheddon has got an advantage here of 0.8 seconds from Ash Sutton, who arrives in 2nd place behind Dan Rowbottom, now trying to fend off Tom Ingram to stop him getting on the points, trying to take 2 points away from him as well, if he can. Rather than getting 15, he'd get 13 if he stays in 4th place, Tom Ingram. But it's certainly been a very good second half of the race, and Tom Ingram gets a good run coming out through Cascades. He's closing up all the time to the forward of Dan Rowbottom. Robo's going to hold the inside line here, so Ingram's going to have to take the outside line, and for now that doesn't work. Can he get on the gas quicker? And the answer is yes, but Rowbottom does a perfect job there, doesn't he, of defending the position. Yeah,
that's right. You said he needs to do the job for his teammates, and he's absolutely doing that, but it's just amazing to me how different the first part of the race was in the second part for Tom Ingram, just showing his ability to look after those wet tyres, perhaps a better setup as well for these conditions, but he can't find a way past Dan Rowbottom. So Dan Rowbottom is there in 3rd position, but for Gordon Sheddon and for Toyota and for Speedworks, whose season has just been really, really horrible. Oh, there's 2 corners to go, Chris.
Yeah, and win number 53 is almost there. It's been a terrific drive from Gordon Sheddon. The weekend started really badly yesterday in qualifying. It's going to end with the best possible outcome for Gordon Sheddon as Tom Ingram tries to get around the outside of Dan Rowbottom into the final corner at Lodge, but Dan's having none of it whatsoever. It's going to be a drag race to the checkered flag for 3rd, but it's going to be a win for Gordon Sheddon. They cheer him across the line. Fantastic stuff. His first win since his comeback, his 53rd career victory, his 7th win at this circuit, and well done to Speedworks, who run the Toyota Corollas in this championship. 10 miles away they are based. This is their home circuit, and finally they get some good luck, better luck, and a great result, a great drive on their home turf. So well done to Toyota Gazoo Racing UK with IAA, because they are race winners for the first time this season. We also had James Dorling with a great weekend as well, coming through to finish 8th. He got ahead of Charles Rainford with a lap and a bit to go in that race. Charles, though, with a strong drive from the back of the field to 9th position. The win, Gordon Sheddon 2nd, and the championship lead at the end of the weekend to Ash Sutton. Dan Rowbottom gets onto the podium in 3rd. Tom Ingram 4th, Senna Proctor 5th, Dan Camish 6th, Jake Hill will be gutted with 7th, James Dorling 8th, Charles Rainford 9th, 10th for Sam Osborne, 11th for Aidan Moffat, and 12th place and an independence win and onto the podium for the driver that gambled on the slick tyre, Dexter Patterson. The gamble paid off, and had there been one more lap behind the safety car, it would have been an even bigger prize for him, I think. It's just that he couldn't quite catch the train before they got the race back underway, but still a great result for him, an independence win, and the Scottish driver comes home in 12th. So we have 2 Scottish winners there. And then Finn Leslie in the points at the end of his debut weekend, 17 years of age, 13th place for Finn. Dan Lloyd
he said to me this
14th.
morning, that what he hoped for from the day was to at least get in the points. Well, there you go.
Excellent. Not many drivers do that in their debut weekend. We've had it already this year with Max Hall at the start of the season, but that's great stuff for him. 17 years of age, in the points, never driven this car, any touring car around this circuit before. Fantastic job. So he is at 13th. Dan Lloyd on his 150th race start at least gets a couple of points in 14th, and Daryl De Leon was a lap down, but he put the slick tyre on and he got a point as well in 15th place, with Adam Morgan classified 2 laps down in 16th position. And of course the fastest lap of the race, and the bonus point went to Dexter Patterson as well.